And this is ready for simulcast, live streaming from Vitold, and we're on. This is our first time doing such a thing. So we can actually have a larger audience. Not that we, try to attract anybody to it, because it's just the beginning. And here we are for a theremin festival. And the theremin, I once asked one of our guests today, Rob Schwimmer, about playing microtonal music on the theremin, and he said, if I can paraphrase, that's the last thing that I want to do.
Well, if I might, it was a special day.
It was.
I had just gotten the theremin, and I was just starting out, and my free jazz friend at the bar says to me, "Oh, great! Now you can play microtonal music." So that was, that my reply was, "That's all I can play right now," and so I am hoping I'll get back.
Right, and we were being fairly comedic, and I thought that's what you meant. That was the other part of it. He's a funny person.
That was what.
And we were trying to have good humor. And Rob, I'm starting with you, obviously. His hands, he gives up. And, he's a multi-instrumentalist, Rob Schwimmer. So theremin is, and I sometimes think of myself that way too. Now, it's funny how time will change your view of yourself. And he played with the very famous group Garfunkel and Simon. I'm sure you've heard of.
I played with my hands crossed.
And well, do you want to speak about the theremin? Why don't I just ask you to speak about the theremin?
I might not be the best person to start off with.
Well, okay, I'll take that seriously, and I'm going to play later then a little excerpt of your performance in Alice in Wonderland as the Queen of Hearts.
As only I can do.
As only you can do. And there he was, the microtonal thereminist, because the piece is in what we call 128 tuning, which is just higher harmonics reduced into one scale of 128 unequal pitches that have a certain quality to them. Like it's a single chord that doesn't need to resolve. And poor Rob Schwimmer is forced to turn the theremin into a instrument of 128. Now, earlier, I had spoken with my confidants in Moo that it's not an instrument that you're supposed to play exact pitches on, which I got from Lydia from your instruction video. I really appreciated that. But what I had said to you, and you did it successfully, you had the drama, and you listened to the 128 pitches around you, and it didn't take long. I made sure you didn't play in the beginning of the piece. It didn't take long for you to kind of get a feel for it. And then you, with the double bass as your husband, was terrific until I walked you off the stage. That's for later.
All right.
Okay. I see Yonat is here, drinking something warm, I hope. And we're going to talk with you soon. I guess give you a little moment. With Lydia, it's going to be an interesting involvement because Lydia is not going to speak as much as perform. And I'm going to actually have some text that she wrote for me to speak. So you'll bear with us on that. And, one of the great things that we're not going to do today, Lydia, is play this fantastic Schillinger concerto for theremin and orchestra that now apparently is available. And I heard it, and it's not even microtonal, except that it's in, 12 equal. And we actually do consider 12 equal to be a microtonal system. It's just, overly popular and hegemonic, and we try not to pay attention to it, but focus on the other things. And so I just thought it was gorgeous. And at that time, it was kind of protected. So I'll be looking forward to hearing that, but we're going to focus on more microtonalisms. And then I see David Simons is here. Hi, David. And Dave, you can say hello if you like. You're kind of muted. which is not good for you. It's not a good look for you to be muted.
Hello.
And David was here last year for the Homemades
Hey, Rob.
Festival.
Hello,
So-
Lydia.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Say
Yeah.
hi. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello,
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, and David, showed just a hint of his thereministic side.
I did?
Yes, a hint.
What did I
also,
do?
He's also very funny, Rob. I don't know how. Do you know Rob, David?
Oh, yeah,
We-
we shared a stage at the, was it the Theremin, New York Theremin Society, right?
We met in prison.
We met in prison.
That's how it felt, Rob. That's not the same thing.
And we had
It
our
was-
faces
It was a
removed
beautiful
based
thing.
on the other person.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we
Right.
met at New York Theremin Society. Thanks.
Yeah, the issue project room and Joe's Pub also. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe's Pub is where people play performances. It's not just drinking, just so you know. It's a New York.
Public theater.
Yeah. And I guess Eric is not quite here yet. Hopefully he'll make it. And then we have our ensemble. Not that you're supposed to play together. That is another story. How many theremins together would be interestingly problematic.
How many thereminists does it take to?
Yeah, you said some very funny things about theremin I won't repeat.
I swear, one time I did walk into a bar with 10 theremin players. There was no punchline necessary.
Yeah.
And then everybody punched
"Stand
each other
back,
out.
Stand back.
Stand back. That's
But
what
they didn't-
everybody says. I think that was the first thing I heard Lydia ever say was stand back. It was in a theremin festival in Portland, Maine. And people didn't understand. I don't think, Lydia, you were that practiced as you are in now in English. And, these people who should know better were crowding around your theremin while you were playing. And of course, they're interfering with your sound. And of course, that would make you a bit concerned. So I didn't have to know what you were saying to know you were going, back, everybody, back. So anyway, David, would you like to begin?
Oh, do you want me to play something?
Yes,
Okay, I can do that.
that would be terrific. I can only ask.
Yeah. All right. So I'll play something live first. And it is a 4-channel piece that I composed about 10 years ago. It's called Occupational Therapy. And at the time, I didn't actually know what the definition of occupational therapy was, so I was just guessing. And then after that, I will play.
But before you go on, would you tell us what's the microtonal dimension of the piece?
Okay. Since I composed it about 10 years ago, I hadn't yet managed to interface the pitch antenna with a pitch follower that would generate these numbers that could trigger samples, alter samples, time stretch. But I am doing that with the volume antenna. And there's always a relationship between the pitch and the volume as far as, I don't know, the dB, the decibels, and how it's registering. I'm using the Max MSP program to trigger, use the theremin, the motion detector, motion activation, to generate these series of numbers, which will trigger samples or alter them, time stretch, or change the pitch of samples. So you could have a sample that is being played, let's say at pitch, triggered at pitch, and then with the volume antenna, in this case, changing the pitch of the sample. And you could call it microtonal volume adjustment because it's extremely sensitive, as all theremin players know. The antennas are extremely sensitive. So microtonality comes with it, and you can use the same the volume antenna as as a controller for triggering any kind of samples. And I also have these samples that are triggered could be randomly retuned. So that is to say, random within range. So there's all sorts of relationships. And in this particular piece, I have, I wanted it to be unpredictable for the player. So there's all these timers that go on and off, and all these gates that open and close, and all these relationships between the samples that are triggered by the pitch and volume antenna. And so that's the way that I play a theremin. You will hear the theremin and different effects that are on them, that are on it, that change according to a timer. Okay.
So you've applied some digital formatting to an analog instrument.
Correct. Not just some, but a tremendous amount. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. It'll just take me a minute to.
Okay. As you're preparing this, I was just going to say I found Antithesis of yours I thought I would play, but if you have other things, I was listening to the more microtonal aspects of the music because you have several recordings out on video.
Oh yeah, on the Tzaddik label and things like that. Yeah, but I would play a video of a more recent piece because that uses the pitch follower as a controller for images and as well, projected images and samples. Okay, let me get myself set up here.
Sounds like a hell of a nice max patch.
Oh yeah, well, I've been working on it for a really long time, years.
It's one of those patches you never finish because it keeps adding and growing in parallel with your life, that kind of thing.
Who's asking that question?
Oh, Stephen Taylor.
Oh, hi, Stephen.
Good to meet you.
Well, no, because new pieces are being made, new compositions.
Yeah, right.
Triggering different samples and having a different nature to them, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, so let me get my thing happening. Originals. Oh, put it to original sound. Let's original sound on. Occupational therapy. You know what I thought it meant? I thought it meant if you have trouble like gearing up to get a job, like some musicians, like myself, you go to this therapist and they kind of work on your mind so you can tolerate having a job, and that's what I thought occupational therapy was. Okay, so
That's not it.
All right, so everybody please
It's from David, because
I alternated with further experiments on myself. I alternated with further experiments on myself. I alternated with further experiments on myself.
Okay, that's all for now. On that one.
Okay, so if you can turn off the original sound, because we will get the feedback.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
There we go.
So, yes, now it's off, I hear. Thank you. Did you have something else you wanted to play?
Yeah, I have a video of a much more recent piece. And wait, let me change my camera to FaceTime. There we go. Yeah.
And what's this one?
I'll tell you in a moment here.
Yeah, the multitasking can be tough, right?
Yeah, let's see. So I'll do a screen share, right, to play the video.
Right. Checking the stereo and everything.
And okay, you can see that now, right? You can see this share. Push me into space. Whoa, okay. The unplayed hand. And okay, I am triggering changes in the projections as well as changes in the samples. Just for a few seconds, there's a vocal narration, just for a few seconds, but mostly this is live interaction of the theremin controlling audio samples and projections. Let's see.
Revolution is not a dinner party. It cannot be a business.
Now, could everyone hear that?
Yeah.
The video is coming through my speakers.
I mean the audio.
Yeah,
so-
the audio is coming through the speakers. So should I have it come through as something else?
Yeah, stop share and once again click share screen and remember to check the two boxes, optimize for video clip and share sound.
So it's under the audio, right?
No, it will be on the
What
screen
setting?
that pops up when you want to share screen.
Okay, so optimize for video clip,
That's right, and share sound.
share sound. Okay, let's see how this is going to work.
And stereo between them.
Considerately, respectfully, politely. It cannot be addressed plainly.
You could hear it better now,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Revolution is not a dinner. Mistaking him for a hero.
He stopped, as if he too were waiting for something.
So far, the mystery was explained. But which of them was it? He asked. That supper, he ate and drank mechanically what was put before him. Not a word of it. And devoted all powers to the unraveling of his Pleasant hands. And turn around.
I'll fast forward it a little bit.
To draw wrong.
Try something else.
Take your drawing tool in hand and put a
Big piece of paper
in front of you.
If you're drawing from a model,
Look at
where to stop.
the bottom.
No, the top,
Drawing tool on the paper.
without looking. Keeping your eye on the model.
The Khazars believe that deep in the inky blackness of the Caspian Sea, there is an eyeless fish that, like a clock, marks the correct time of the universe.
He stopped, as if the two were waiting for someone. So far, the mystery was explained. Came herbs.
Even for
Tile.
give it
Nourishing diet. The following treatment can be used with benefit, no matter what part or parts of
the body are affected.
I have restored
Living in a
feeling
single day to the affected
part
by using
hot and cold. Foaming.
foundations, massage,
The immense benefit when the attack first
came out.
he stimulated
Hello?
Used on
Yeah.
all
always
Oh,
beneficial.
sorry, I seem to have
as given in this book should be
Lost.
thoroughly rubbed in. I got from it. The oracle said,
Okay. Is that enough? People?
Johnny, I can't hear you.
Sorry, yes, I was muted. Sorry. Thank you.
Uh,
And so you're basically like
Formidable.
Fred Astaire over there with a bowler hat and an umbrella. And I guess, but there was some theremin in the mixed sound.
Actually, no, you weren't. I don't think you were hearing the theremin at all. I was playing the theremin and
The
you were not,
controller.
as
Yeah,
a
the theremin was
controller, and you were
controlling
not
sounds.
hearing
Incredible,
the theremin.
incredible.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
that was that experiment. right?
Theremin is controller.
Yeah.
It's controller. Yeah.
It's
Do you have,
incredible.
are you entering into max through control voltage? Is that the, how is it you're getting from the theremin to max, just technically?
Through an ADDA converter.
Okay.
So it receives the sound signal from the theremin, and then it interprets it as a, I don't know.
A set of numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you can measure the decibel, the volume of it.
Right,
You
yes.
can measure it in many different ways, but basically it's generating numbers based on your proximity to the antennas.
Right.
Okay.
So there's an XY axis there of volume and pitch, and you can use those to control different parameters of sound or
Yeah.
image.
I'm just really admire the way you made full use of max, with the visuals as well as the audio, as well as the, all of these different parameters interacting with each other in real time is
Yeah.
a is
Yeah,
is
you
a major
create
accomplishment. Yeah.
Very spectacular thing when you connect the video and audio together, kinda, and it works so complementary. Yeah.
Yeah, that piece that Johnny mentioned, the antithesis, uses video, and I could slow down the video and make it go backwards. That video that's being projected. So the theremin is a controller. Could it be a controller for projected video images?
Yeah, very interesting. And have you done this live a lot in front of
Oh, yeah.
audiences?
I
Are
have.
you able to kind of read the room the way a DJ can? And you know that when you do a certain thing, suddenly people love it or hate it or egg you on.
It's hard to tell sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's like I'm just going way over their head, and they have no idea what is going on or why it's even
Yeah.
going on. Interactive element that you find interesting, I also find interesting, and maybe some other people do. But as you know, for the last 2 years, it's very few performances. So that piece, The Unplayed Hand, which was the video, it was almost like a prophetically named, because I got this grant, this commission to make the piece, and then we could not perform it. So it was literally The Unplayed Hand until
Yeah.
last week. I finally did a public performance of it.
Well, congratulations.
See, and I just thought you were dancing.
Yeah, you know what? I've gotten comments that people thought I was I was moving to a pre-recorded.
Or a track. Yeah.
That's what some people think that I'm doing. But I'm not. It's all interactive.
See, now this could be a reason for explanations beforehand. But On the other hand,
Could be.
I guess on the other hand,
Mhm.
you're just listening to the music.
I mean, it raises a kind of a semi off topic topic, but that is how is it people derive meaning from music? You know what I mean? The fact that some people thought you were dancing to a pre-existing and just pantomiming when you were actually causing it, every single bit of it. Those are two different sets of meanings. Like, oh, this guy's a dancer, as opposed to this guy's actually pre-baked all of these things and is issuing them out in real time,
Or
expressively.
worse than a dancer, a faker, right?
Yeah.
A faking the interaction.
Milli Vanilli.
No, things didn't go. Okay, things didn't go all that well this time. So, but that's the unpredictable nature of it.
Of course.
But everybody thinks, as a theremin player, just even in the most simple stuff that you're singing or some kind of this. So there's always, if you have a crowd that doesn't know, I mean, it starts off at that point and then degenerates rapidly. But that's like the first stopping point. So, okay, I'm not singing. So you were singing that, right? It's like, and then you have to do it with your mouth closed and they're amazed,
Isn't this almost like, Stephen, isn't this almost like improvisation where sometimes the improvisation is so good you think it's composition?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's composition. It might as well be improvisation.
Yeah. Right.
And then you're back to meaning again.
Right.
And there's a melding of the two. And what I'm doing is actually, I'm calling it non-linear music because there is no set beginning or ending. It's
Right.
like enter into this realm of potentialities, right? This realm of possibilities that you've set up, but who knows whatever order they're going to come in. So it's non-linear music.
Which makes sense to someone who's really paying attention to your particular use of that word. You know what I mean? A lot of people say non-linear, yeah, whatever, and then they hear it.
Yeah.
And then it's that's what that means. Okay.
I have nonlinear from a Paul Ehrlich definition of ephemera, where if you combine the difference tones that are physical in nature with the idiosyncratic nonlinearness of each person's ear, which is unique to that person and not like anybody else.
Yeah.
It's the combination of those two that then bring the ephemera to that person's recognition. And, in terms of importance and in terms of discussing it with someone, for example. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah,
David,
fantastic.
you gave us lots to think about and great stuff. Let me go now to Lydia. And Lydia, I'm imagining, is going to do an improvisation that is going to be just theremin. Nothing else. No digital, no singing, no, I guess you're not going to tap dance. You're not going to raise elbows in opposite directions, So what Lydia is going to, what she's done is she's given me a little bit of a text to read. Some of it may not make as much sense in English as you think it does. So I may have to work around it. But, the good news is Lydia is going to actually start with an improvisation. So we're going to hear the theremin, in this pure quality sound. She's already starting. Because she's got to find her note, right? And she's going to do some kind of folkish thing where she's going to play with the major minor third and create some kind of, unusual relationships through glissandi. And she's got some material in the chats as well for you to, respond or ask questions. So here we are. And I say Lydia Kavina, but it's Kavina, right? Accent on the first. Okay, so I was actually good on that one. Sometimes I'm wrong. Lydia, thank you. This is a new piece called Improvisation by Lydia Kavina. Tremendous, tremendous. You know,
Bravo.
Wow. Woo!
I remember improvising with you, Lydia, in, gosh, it was some French fellow speaking. And later that we played that day, we played Varese together, but that wasn't improv. It was like fake improv. And now to hear you now is wonderful. And, you know, you certainly played more microtones than just that third. So thanks for pushing it, you know, to the limit there. You know, you had us on edge, microtonal edge. So thank you. Now, a little text here. Most musicians were interested apparently in the electric color. Oops, I have to, what happened here? Could you go back, release the screen, Lydia, once more? Because I need to read first before you go to the screen. Thank you. Sorry. It's a little, I couldn't print it. I ran out of ink just last night. So, you know, we had to get past the electric sound color before we can get into pitch with the history of the theremin. It doesn't say this here, but that's like the Abbott and Costello quality, you know, where it was mood. And, you know, it took a while to become a cello or a flute the way you would write for it. And one of the first composers who did that was Percy Granger. We actually premiered the piece years ago by Percy Granger, who I think wrote the piece for a string quartet and quarter tones, thinking he'd never get theremins, you know, 4, let alone 6 in a room. And, you know, last year we had a chance to hear some of what, well, if you change it too soon, you know, I won't be able to read anymore, but that is what the Granger looks like. Thank you. That was it. With the colors to show the different lines. I thought I innovated that because I don't know, I see it everywhere now. Even I saw iPhones playing that piece, you know? So theremin-like apps on iPhones, which I'm sure interests some people. Now I think in a similar way, we're going to listen to something by a contemporary German composer named Caspar Johannes Walter in a piece called Vacuum Hallucination, of which the sounds are put within a range between, well, somewhere in a bit between C sharp and a bit above B flat.
You muted.
Yes, I know. Just a second. I imagine, and you got to mute during the music because we'll get coughs and the screen will go with the sound.
Sorry.
It's all right. This was played by all parts were played by you, Lydia, right? Okay, just want to be sure. And Lydia does this in a way that I love because I had a bassoon teacher who did all bassoon quartets with playing all the 4 parts, and it didn't work for me because, you know, you want different characters, you know, sometimes on wind instruments, if not string instruments. But somehow, Lydia, your performance of it makes it seem like, you know, a master keyboardist, even though it's completely analog and completely glissandi, which puts the opposite to what I just said, which is cool. So now we're going to move from glissandes to actually the actual notes. for an imitation of a tweeting nightingale. And this is a piece called In Green, and it's based on the notation of an original nightingale tweeting. Thank you. I can hear that the third one started just a little higher than the first two. I don't know if you hear that. You probably do, and that's great because that makes the music alive, and the bird is alive in your hands. So now we go to a fragment of another piece of Lydia's. This is a kind of an Asian scale, which the interval is between F sharp and A, now divided into two equal divisions of 3/4 of a tone each. Yes, this is the moo clap. Even though you can hear it, it's really usually quiet. Thank you very much. Music Universalis by Australian composer Andrian Petraut for theremin and harmonic bells is where the theremin matches the bells, each of which have different tuning. So we're back to this issue of responsive theremin. The theremin is listening. And of course, the bells are in a unusual tuning. And the composer writes the following. The 13 limit scale formed by the first 13 parcels of the overtone series is adopted as the basic pitch material, and the associated 13 limit frequency ratios form the basis for rhythmical development. So the actual scale, if you're taking notes, is D, E, F sharp, G raised by 52 cents, A, B lowered by 43 cents, and G lowered by 48 cents. And I love how, we have these 2-cent differences, schismas, actually have names. Here we go. Thank you. Very nice. This piece has 32 pages of description, research, and instruction. And one page, of course, is all kinds of microtonal variation. The Swiss composer Jung-Hae Lee, which sounds to me should be pronounced Chung-Hee Lee, wrote a piece for the theremin and violin in which she asked Lydia to tune the theremin for large movements to make the quarter tones playing more visual, which I can imagine changes the actual pitch for the microtonalists among us. Each note played with a different hand shape. And now we'll see a fragment of this piece.
Yeah, we don't get the sound, unfortunately, and the video
Yeah.
seems to be frozen.
Well, we can move to the last example, Lydia, if there's an issue with that one. And so this last example uses microtones shifting in harmony changes. And she uses a method in the final part of this concerto for theremin and orchestra, where the whole orchestra of strings are moving a quarter tone lower, switching the harmony every 2 to 3 bars. So still no sound.
Yeah, we're not getting any sound.
Okay, so Lydia, let's hold it. We can maybe come back to you in case, when you find it. And at this moment, let's move on because, it's better to have the time to fix it.
I have a suggestion. Check if you have selected the share sound and optimize for video clip boxes, because they might have been checked.
They could have changed?
Yeah, they could have changed. Just check if that.
So Lydia, change the share screen, yeah.
No, we're not getting it.
No, so let's not focus right now on that until it changes. And we're going to Yonat right now. Thank you so much, Lydia, and we'll hopefully hear some more. That was just tremendous, of course. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Johnny, your
So-
video is off, just letting you know.
That's fine. Thank you. So Yonat,
Yeah.
welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
So you got to hear some theremin stuff just now. And you come to the theremin probably in a unique way, and I imagine everybody does. I mean, I can't imagine, Lydia, you've heard other stories that are the same even. So how did you come to the theremin, Yonat?
Michael needed accompanying.
Michael is your husband. This is Michael Hafftka. Is he there?
No, sorry.
Oh, he's not even here. Michael is a painter, and I don't know if we can say his music comes from his painting, but it's abstract. maybe the music is less abstract than the painting. You would be
Well, really, a better description, he's an artist, and there are many expressions. So some is music, some is art.
And now we're back to you again. How did you get to the theremin?
So I think both of us didn't even play anything until the kids were at an age where we thought we'd get them instruments because we didn't believe in teaching. So we just got instruments, and the only one who picked it up was Michael. The kids didn't care. So then he was playing guitar, and I wasn't playing anything, so he got me steel drums because we thought that's easy, and I fell in love with it. And then he heard of the theremin, and he showed me some examples. Actually, I don't know if you know him, Sihan, some Turkish name. I don't know his last name, but I was so impressed. I had to have a theremin. So I started playing the theremin, and I probably sounded pretty awful in the beginning. And I think by now I have fair control of it without knowing anything, just I guess intuitive. And Rob helped me along the way in some instances. And that's it. That's about the story. So it's over 10 years. I don't even know exactly. My kids are old already, so.
Yes, and so you come to it basically as a found voice that you want to become a good associate with other voices that you're hearing all the time. Probably not so much the steel drums, which is kind of an opposite. You know, it's kind of like those are exact notes.
Well, I couldn't play both at the same time, so that was lucky.
You haven't used your feet yet, huh? Yonat is also really quite gifted with electronic recording and getting a good sound. And they have a great studio in Brooklyn. And I was privileged to record with them numerous times. And we kind of found recordings, you know, afterwards that we just had forgotten about. And this one really lovely one. I named it basically. It's like having a child. What are you going to call it? So it's obviously improvised. It's called Friends because that's what we were and are. So now I have to find it. And of course, it's going to be sound only. It's not going to be a video. But it is incredibly great quality of sound in the studio. So now let me see if I can find it. I made a roadmap for myself here.
I have to say, only because I'm a little embarrassed, it's not the best recording because it's MP3s.
Because of what?
It's MP3s. It's not the best that we could have had.
Oh, okay. In that sense, okay. That's
I mean, if you're gonna say that the quality has something to do with me, I have to.
Well, I mean, the studio is better than us playing outside in the street during the rain.
Right.
Unless you, like Michael Vick, like rain and you want that to be part of the sound. I like rain. It's not like I'm against rain. Let's make that clear. And again, Rob, you know, you're welcome to stop me if I get too comedic. Okay, so I'm now going to go to a piece that is now apparently MP3 and it could be otherwise, but actually it's going to be in a non-MP3 because it's in a Bandcamp form. So it's going to be a lossless, at least from that level, from the original level that we had sent to me. So it is going to be the best you can get. And I'm going to now share the screen. Oh, thank you. One second, let me erase this here. Okay. Thank you. So that was, and of course, I didn't prepare you, right? We didn't say what it was going to be. Do you want to say you're not what it was?
You want to remind me?
Yes, it was you playing theremin, your husband playing guitar, and I was playing bassoon. And we were in a tuning system I like to call 128.
How long ago was it, Johnny?
About 4 years.
Uh,
I'm losing sense of time with this whole new COVID world.
yeah,
But,
it definitely was before COVID. I guess there's only before and after. There was no, or
Right.
maybe there is an after.
BC and AC. Yes, and but in terms of what we were talking about earlier, how you learn to hear the sound around you. You heard Michael with his fretless guitar with a tuning machine trying to get these 128 intervals would then go directly to your mind so you can hear them in your head, right?
Well, to tell the truth, it's so native to the theremin that you don't have to think about it. You just have to maybe let go of the 12 tones. And if you're open to it, anything goes. So
Right. Right. And so, you did a slightly different way similarly to Rob when he played in Alice, in the sense, but
I
of course,
can't play in tune if you put it that way.
well, then we have a big discussion of what that even means in tune. So we don't want to go there. But, I certainly have heard you develop. Are you still playing theremin? I mean, in this.
Absolutely. We actually into NFTs now. We're doing music and we haven't started yet, but that's what we want to do, music NFTs.
Excellent. I wish I was back there in Brooklyn. And of course, we have albums.
You don't have to be anywhere to do NFTs.
Well, we'll have to try some Zoom stuff sometime. But in the meantime, we do have these Bandcamp albums of what we did in the studio. And, that was a very nice piece. I mean, was it a composition, for example? If I wanted it to, if I told you it was a composition, would you believe it? I would think some would, right? I would hope. But anyway, it's not a fair thing. Um, but thank you so much, Yonat. That was really great. And you didn't have to lift a finger. Rob, you want to say something? No, he just wanted to raise a finger. He's blowing you he's got a quiet mouth. I don't know what that means. But I thought now maybe my good idea. Let me play, I'm going to play Rob's performance now of the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland, which is a theater piece of mine, which is completely in 128 with a lot of people. And the instruments had roles. This is sort of a tradition of mine. I might give you another example afterwards with for Eric Ross, who apparently had trouble coming today. He was traveling through the weekend and had difficulties. So let's see if I can do this. I'm going to pull up a piece, Alice in Wonderland, in 128 tuning. And Rob is the Queen of Hearts in character, married to the double bass player. Who is the king.
It was an ugly scene.
Ugly scene. There's a lot of him in there, but I wanted him to have at least 8 to 10 minutes before he started, just so he could like get a little bit of what Yonat has a lifetime of. I wouldn't say a lifetime, but a lot of 128 experience from hearing Michael do it a lot. That's what I'm saying.
Before we get started with back to seriousness, I want to show everybody my shirt that I just had made. It's very important. My shirt.
Okay, his shirt. Will no one rid me of this meddlesome thereminist, Henry II?
I like Lydia's shirt.
I used to teach the children, here a man, there a man, everywhere a man.
Yeah, as opposed
spell
to
it.
yeah. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Thank you for the meme.
Crucial
I know you meme well.
No, I don't.
And so let's see now if I can share this. Let's see, and do mute, of course, when you can for sound. So, I mean, he returns as the queen, but you know, I don't need to play the whole thing, of course, but it certainly gave you a good sense of Rob. And Rob, I have a surprise at the end.
Okay.
Stick around.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah, I have a very nice surprise at the very end of something we did together. It was the Microtonal Tonight Show.
Ah.
And Rob does play theremin in it at the very end.
I have no.
Yeah, it's a nice moment.
Rob, how do you get that fluty sound on the theremin? Do you just roll off the high end, or do you have it going through a pedal? Or
No, that wasn't going through anything. It was just roll off the high end. Yeah, just so it doesn't get, so it just stays nice and smooth when it was, when you get up high, so it doesn't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. No, it really blended well with the bassoons.
Yeah, it's not a quandary that I often have to deal with, but sometimes.
Well,
So my question to all of the thereminists is: have you ever played in a theremin section playing a unison line?
Yeah.
Does it work?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, I mean,
but,
I
mean, like string players do it, right? They have a continuum, and
yeah, but hell with it.
yeah, right. And they've got hundreds of years of performance practice.
Years. I'm just as old as they are. It's just, it's just that they're not dealing with what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
I did a test with different instrumentalists of varying instruments, trying to see if they had a predisposition because of the instrument that they play.
Right.
They on the theremin. There was no pattern. There were just random people that just kind of got it, and even people with, like really high abilities didn't mean anything necessarily in this context.
And what about the opposite? Like I recorded a score for a Disney movie about 20 years ago, and they wanted a theremin player to overdub on the orchestra "When You Wish Upon a Star." And it was a disaster. It was just to be able to get that exact phrasing with it, we ended up having to go a whole nother way with it,
Well, I don't think that would be a problem nowadays. I think, that shouldn't have been a thing.
It should be able to just lock right into whatever the pre-record was doing.
Just call Rob Schwimmer. He can do it.
Okay, I'll know that now.
Yeah, Lydia points out the Japanese groups are like 230, aren't they thereminis? Are they real theremins? But she's going to let me know, but it's like...
with the...
Tremendous unisons. Yeah.
They're pretty wonderful for somebody who wants to sound in tune.
Matromen.
But otherwise, very limiting.
Right. And there's no purist among you who cares, right?
Well, not in unholy matrimony.
I mean, it's not like you're wearing purple hair or something. I know people who are offended in different cultures, like in Korea, adding a string to the kaigum is horrible, or, I'm thinking, breaking out of a Carnatic Indian raga might be considered gross.
I personally hated the theremin. It sounded plastic.
Well,
I do hear a soul, Lydia, from you. I'm not saying the others here have no soul, but I'm saying I hear from you a soul that I think is produced largely from your left hand. And, when I saw the interview you did, not the interview, excuse me, the lesson you gave, and I don't know if there's a 2, part 3, part 4. I just saw, I didn't even get to the whole thing with the left hand, but it's because your left hand is like butter.
Butter.
Yeah, it's like butter. So, when your hand is like butter, You can give
Flying
any
better.
example in the world, nightingales all the way to, killer sharks. You could do whatever you want, but it's something that if you pretend in the instruction that you're just taking it for granted, like anybody can do this. Then you just start with foot like this as your first motions, which I've never done. I'm just the amateurist of the amateurs, I'm not even going to try to show you any theremin
Hey,
playing.
just going back for 1 second, Lydia, when you were talking about the Japanese group playing many things together, and they do a pretty good job of that. I don't know. It's I mean, it's remarkable that it's as good as it is. Don't get me wrong. So I'm you're typing now. I'm afraid.
Well, there's a Japanese thereminist who I brought her name to your attention, Rob. And
Yeah.
she's got a great career. She's really been playing theremin for a while. And
She married?
well, I didn't go that direction, but I did ask her about playing microtonally. She had friended me on Facebook. I really didn't, remember anything connecting. And I looked at some of her videos, and it was like the most beautiful, unquestioned tuning, just command. But the idea of playing in a microtonal piece of music, was a shock to her. Of course, I invited her to the Japanese and microtonal session in November. Well, she'll meet a lot of Japanese who can do this. They can play in just intonation. They can play in 100 equal temperament. There's a lot of variety. So now it's almost like Moo wants to say to the theremin community, since we had so many here, there might be another step in the evolution. It's a different step than the one David took, though David is able to do this step as well, which is this idea of learning new intervals that you can then play on the theremin naturally, that are not merely, and I shouldn't say merely in a negative way, but not exclusively responsive to what's around you, which of course is a great trait that a lot of instrumentalists don't even have very well. That's the reading of the room Stephen is talking about. Right, it is something to be aware of. But are you guys getting what I'm saying? Like if you guys knew 5/4, like I know David does, right?
Is it past the goddamn spinach?
No, that's the three.
Five
We're
against.
talking about the rhythm.
No, it's this sure is difficult to do. This sure is difficult to do.
Yeah, but you're talking about the rhythm. I'm talking about the pitch.
Oh, 5/2 pitch. Sorry.
No, 5/4.
5/4.
386 cents.
Right.
Bomb, B. If you could hear that in your head, you could play it. And that one interval would lock you into the whole Renaissance on.
Now, when you're saying if you can hear it, you can play it, this may just be a catchy thing, but I've always said that people, having perfect pitch doesn't mean your theremin playing will be in tune. It just means you'll know when you're out of tune.
True, but this has nothing to do with perfect pitch.
Okay. Anyway,
this is called relative pitch.
Okay.
And you from wherever you start, you can play any interval that you want that you can imagine in your head. And by the way, I'm saying this to you because I got to do this. My theremin is now set up. I have it. It just got moved here from New York. And, I've got a new amp, and, that was thanks to Ken in Moo. And I'm thinking I can hear all this stuff. If only I can do what Lydia says, which is, tune up my theremin, which is completely different meaning of tuning up that I ever used. But she knows how to move the knob so that the sound is going to be, I guess I have to use, You might have opposite when you see me because this is my right hand.
No, that's right.
That's right. Okay, good. So I guess it was like this, Lydia, close to the shoulder. You don't want to move the arm very much, and you move it out like this, just the wrist, and you start with holding a hammer in your hand that's not in your hand. So in other words, you're not making a closed fist. There's a hole in it. Look at me explaining for Lydia because she's not able to really speak right now. I'm so sorry, Lydia. And I don't really want to put the video on because I want to practice. So if it's okay, and if I'm wrong, you just make a nasty face. But right now you're smiling. So you do this with the hand, and this is really any point you want to start because there's no points. That's the point. So, sorry, Rob. So if you then just move out, I mean, first you get in the octave. I mean, you got to get the octave, right? That right away hurts. I got a little arthritis in the shoulder. I'm hoping it's not going to interfere too much. But, you move it out. Then you're going to want to go to the, imitation of equal temperament, frankly, right? That's what you do. It doesn't have to start like that, though, Lydia.
I have to add something here.
Who's that?
If-
Yonat, yes.
If you want to be very precise, all this matters. But if you also want to be, your whole body goes into this. So you can move completely freely and learn to make the changes with any movement. It doesn't matter what you move or how much you move. It doesn't have to be so frozen with precise,
It also depends what you want to produce.
Right.
Does the quality of the theremin vary? I noticed in what Lydia was doing, these minute, tiny movements. I have a theremin somebody made me from a kit, and it's not that sensitive. I have to kind of move a little too much. I'd love to be able to make little tiny movements like Lydia was masterfully doing. Does that depend
adjustments.
on? Yeah,
So-
like the pitch and the
No,
velocity.
besides the buttons, there are adjustments that you can make to the instrument to make it, to change where, I don't even know that, Rob, go ahead.
Thanks. Well, first of all, all instruments are a bit different,
Right.
and then you try and get sort of where it's manageable for you. Most of the time you're going to be adjusting things on the outside of the instrument. You can't go inside and fine tune if you need to do so. But, most of the things that I try and tune fairly tight because I had rotator cuff surgery a number of years back, and I don't like having my arm far out. It's uncomfortable for me. So I try and do stuff as close as possible and just try and fine tune with my fingers. So I want that pretty tight pitch wise for me anyway. Everybody's different. And, but you should be able to get, at least fairly close to what you want on the outside. If it's really not, you might have to go. If it's from a kid, it's probably like an ether wave, Moog ether wave.
Paella.
Oh, that I do not know.
This here.
But I don't know anything about those. No.
Yeah.
Well, with the ether wave,
You might have,
that humidity affects the electromagnetic sensitivity or the sphere of it. Also, if you're next to a speaker, any kind of magnetic source, solar flares, all these things are affecting the theremin. Sometimes you do have to go into it and change the distance, right? How big the electromagnetic bubble is. So you change that. That's how you tune, I guess, the theremin from the inside. Am I right?
and prevailing westerlies, which Lydia writes, playing microtones is a big challenge for a thereminist. I often have to use a tuner to control the microtones as the ear is not used to microtones. And also because every time the new targets, new ideas, new system, more often composers don't care about precise notes and microtones in their graphical scores for theremin. For them, the gesture pantomime is more important. Okay.
That's, you see, now that's up to a degree, Lydia. if and that's true of the past, which of course is the present, right? The present is always the present is always the past as soon as you say it.
But now the future, now that you've read that, the exact.
All right, but speaking,
That is not
okay,
I have to
but
throw down the cutlass.
speaking of the past, the piece we just saw, Johnny, your piece with the Queen of Hearts, Rob was doing some incredibly emotive gestures. They were almost, I don't know. I mean, would the pitch matter? I mean, were you hitting those exact 9 cents sharp of E or whatever it was, or were you
No.
doing? You were playing the gestures. I mean, how
Yeah,
important
No,
was?
he was. I'm speaking for you, Rob. Okay,
Absolutely.
I'm going to speak for
9
you.
and a half, 9 and a half, not 9.
No, the whole idea was that Rob was taking in from the ensemble the tuning, because everyone else is playing in 128.
I was trying to be the Wizard of Osmosis.
Yes, he was the Wizard of Osmosis. I like that. If I can take a moment, I'd like to play a little bit of Eric Ross. I don't think he's here. Okay, he's not here. But I'd like to play a little bit. He played the role of, it's another piece of mine that was theater. And it was the role of Charybdis. I believe, Lydia, you were in the audience, from what I remember. Yeah, it was a long time ago. It's packed. New York, the chapel at Columbia, St. Paul's Chapel. Anyway, that's where Barbara Streisand does her movies, because it's got this huge reverb and echo, and that's what she was looking for. We have to work around it, but you can get some great things, like one tiny sound is enormous in that room. So in this piece, it's not in 128. It's earlier than my work in 128. So this piece is in polymicrotonal. And now that could seem like it can mean almost anything if you're mixing together different systems. In this particular case, there's about 57 musicians, and each plays in a different tuning system. So that becomes the character that they have, which is in fact a character because it's the Odyssey. What makes it especially unique is this Odyssey happens chronologically. The book is not chronologically. It pops all over. It goes to different places. So you have to read it 3 times just to get the order of how it happened. And then we had Dave Edgar, who's actually a member of Moo. He's not here today, but he was the cellist. And it's all improv, though there is a score. And it only got one rehearsal where everybody was outside in the rain because they wouldn't let us in the chapel. And it was done out of order. So the fact that we actually got it right is the most amazing thing. And Eric Ross, along with John Cattler, were the 2 sea monsters, Scylla and Charybdis. And of course, Eric was the Charybdis. That's a big whirlpool to swallow everybody. And of course, everybody does get swallowed except for Odysseus, who's the cello player. With a cello. So unless there's any other questions, I'm going to share the screen.
Woo! Fucking crazy.
So that's no, that's for Eric. We'll have to call Eric. Yeah, he really did a great job. This is Tom O'Horgan also was playing theremin. Those who might know the name, he's was the original director of Hair, and actually two of the Hair people were actually in the audience, Rito and I forget the other fellow's name. So, and it was a packed night. It was very special. It was where the union, New York Union, actually gave me permission to do it and not pay anybody as a fundraiser. So that was a very special night all around. And the year after the Universe Symphony, just so that I was going to do them the same night, but Ives people said no. They didn't want anything to interfere. Okay. So now, thank you. Excuse me, I'm all choked up. So we're really reaching the end, you know, here, unless anybody wants to bring, Lydia, did you find those recordings? I mean, it's only if you're sure, and you have one that you want to do. Yeah? Okay, we can go hear it now. This goes to show you how music is your real true voice.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yeah, but just before you do, I just want to say I'm hoping, Lydia, that your difficulty with your voice has nothing to do with the theremin. You know, right? It's not a theremin produced thing because, you know, some instruments do cause physical issues. And I don't know if the theremin has one. Rob, add that to your comment. Go.
Hey, Lydia, did the composer ask you to do that upside down position? That was fun. Or was that your idea?
She's going to chat. Oh, really? Playing the theremin intensifies the vocal cords. That's okay. That's interesting. The composer wanted the shapes. Was that the one with the 37 pages? No, this is a different one. Okay, it wasn't the one.
You know what about the vocal cords thing? You know, people say that I look like I'm sort of singing because I'm imagining the pitch. I'm imagining it like I'm singing. So my vocal cords are kind of going through me imagining the, you know, just to, in a way to make more tangible the intangible. For me, at least, that's what happens. and you could see it. And so that's also why people think that I'm faking it, because they think I'm really singing. But it's the same. It shows up here if you're thinking of it in a singing way.
I mean, one thing I have to ask is, and I'll be then opening this up to everyone, is the phrasing. You know, phrasing follows breathing. Pianists learn to breathe when they phrase, at least to make sure. And when the theremin has that ability to be like so irritatingly non-stopping, you know, that it just can't go on. I mean, I circular breathe and I try not to use it because it creates an artificiality where, you know, the listener is not listening the same way anymore, looking for tricks and or just not, you know, breathing the phrasing and not getting it. So wondering about the theremin players here about breathing.
I think circular breathing on the theremin is an important part of it. We should embrace this just so we can do it. We're so lucky, you know, we don't have to go through those hours of the straw and the bubbles and the water, you know, to get it together. I mean, we're
jealous.
We are like blessed. Why would we not want to embrace that? Not having to breathe. You guys breathe. We don't need to breathe. You're breathing.
They're not land breathers, okay? I'm telling you right now. Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts, comments? Anyone who's joined us?
In real life, though, yeah. I mean, you know, if it depends upon what you're playing, you know. I mean, but also with the theremin, you know, I mean, for me, and I'm guessing for a lot of people, you know, the most difficult thing is entrances, you know, and so because you know, you get it close to where you think it is, and then you listen for it or whatever, and try and find your entrance notes. But this related in some way, but I've lost my thread.
The phrasing.
Yeah, phrasing. So you know, it's.
Listen, I learned phrasing from Mr. Nowinski in high school. I can tell you right there.
Ain't no Winsky high enough.
I don't think he taught anybody here that I know of. And I met him as an older man, you know, just to say hi because I was grateful. He quite didn't get it. I mean, he didn't understand how important I felt his lesson was.
Yeah.
But to know what phrasing was in high school did me a big benefit.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, but seriously with theremin, you know, depending on what I'm trying to play, and I assume most players are going to want to have it be like, you know, like you're breathing. But, you know, I think probably one of the things why the circular breathing thing is it's just always easier to tell where you are if it's constant rather than going out and coming and then having another entrance.
I used to tell the kids, you know, don't you dare, you know, nag and you know, whine to me. Don't you dare, because the theremin is a better whiner than any of you. And I would just, you know,
well,
and the kids,
I try to take it out to the restaurant for whining and dining, you know.
Okay, so I'm going to now, we're going to end. He's got to go. David's going. Take care, Dave. I'm just going to end now, and then we're just going to end right after it. There'll be no more talking, actually, and then we'll end the YouTube. And this is going to be the end of the Microtonal Tonight Show, which is a very long video you should all see. It's hysterical. And this is, let's see, I'm going to do it right now. Here we go.
Go! The only thing I didn't get. That was beautiful, man.
Is 10 is a Haken worse than 9 theremins or just 10?
Depends on what you got.
I was just confused about Okay. You just told me no in German, and I'm just gonna walk away. I'll just walk away from it. That's so. I thought it was a nice show. I had a good time myself here. I hope you all did. I didn't get the golf club, you know. I didn't do anyone in this year. But now I did. That's good. And I thought we closed the show with one of my favorite tunes on my. It's my favorite instrument, the conch shell. This is my third favorite. Recorder is my second. Bassoon is my first. No, 0.5. This is my best. And I thought you can join if you like. You can hang out, just sit. And it's a famous tune. You want to join us right there?
Let me see.
This is my amp, though.
I know, it sounds terrible.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Let me see, okay.
Yeah, you're all set.
Some short.
It's all done already. Yeah, you can get any knees. It's okay. I already plugged you in here.
Okay. Ooh, that's terrible.
Put it in key of D.
Wow, this doesn't even go. Oh my god.
It's a prehistoric theremin. I don't know. I defrosted it from Switzerland.
Oh, okay.
He knew the same guy, you know, they found? He's from Sardinia originally, it turns out, yeah. So anyway, one of my all-time favorites. You guys ready? You got a lot of hum there.
Well,
John Callan couldn't stand it. Can you handle it?
Just make sure our tuning is based on 60 hertz.
It's 60, yeah. It hurts. It hurts. So, oh, I wasn't ready.
you were late. Thank you.
Nice.